What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kemple of Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. I'm very excited. We have a very cool guest. We're all going to learn something here today. She is a registered dietitian. She is a certified primal health coach. She's also a cancer doula, in addition to a published author. And she's joining us all the way from Ontario, Canada. Please welcome Martha Tettenborn. Martha, thank you for joining us today. I have a lot of questions, and we did start talking about some of this stuff, but can you please introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Sure. Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I am so excited to be able to talk to your audience and talk to Chicago-ish or that
Well,
area.
I'm global, so the whole world. You're talking to the whole world.
That's awesome. Yes, so I am a registered dietitian. Talk about labels. That's been my label for most of my career. And I am also a recent cancer survivor. And that's what really sent me off into a different direction in my life
Okay.
and kind of why I ended up starting to do podcasts. Um, I discovered a couple of years ago that I had ovarian cancer. I was very, very lucky in that I was discovered at stage one,
Okay.
because about three-quarters of the women who have ovarian cancer are diagnosed at late stage
Oh,
three or
wow.
four, and it's
Okay.
considered a fairly silent cancer and one that is quite deadly. So I was lucky to have a big enough symptom. My cyst was about a quart and a half of fluid, so it was enormous
Wow.
and couldn't be ignored. And so I had treatment. But as a dietitian who had already kind of left the fold in terms of branching out into low carb nutrition, which took me well outside my kind of professional training, um, I started doing research and made a kind of a deep dive into cancer research and what I could do to help myself in terms of my health and my lifestyle, and discovered a whole field of cancer nutrition or cancer metabolism that I had no idea existed. And so um, it was an absolute epiphany that there was things that I could do nutritionally that would actually have a really powerful impact on my course, my journey through the cancer treatment process.
Wow.
I did traditional treatment. I had two surgeries. The original one that where they discovered it was cancer, and then a second one, full hysterectomy, to kind of complete what they call the standard of care for ovarian cancer. And then I had chemotherapy because the original um, cyst, which turned out to be cancerous, had been ruptured inside me. It was too
Oh,
big
wow.
to not. So it's considered a spill, and so they suggested chemo. And chemo is poison. Like it's pretty rough. So and I was terrified of that. I was terrified of chemo because I'm been incredibly healthy all my life. Um, Even just getting cancer was a big blow to my sense of personal identity
Sure.
because I identified as somebody who was very healthy.
Yeah.
And and so I was very drug naive. Like my body, I hardly even ever take a Tylenol. I don't supplement.
Same.
I just, live a
Same.
healthy life and eat clean relatively. Um, and I had hit 58 with like awesome health and energy when this cancer diagnosis kind of blindsided me. So it kind of brought me to a new place in my understanding of nutrition. I've been a dietitian for over 30 years, but never really understood before the actual real power of how we eat and our food choices, and how it can have an immediate impact on a health condition like cancer.
That's and that's amazing that so, and I feel like that's not very well known for people that do get cancer, because I don't hear people talking about you know different diets
It's
for
not well known at all.
yeah. And is
No,
that why you wrote your book?
it is totally why I wrote my book. I
Can
mean,
we see your book really quick, and we'll
you
talk about
bet.
it again
The
before we are
the
over?
book is called Hacking Chemo:
Okay.
Using Ketogenic Diet, Therapeutic Fasting, and a Kick-Ass Attitude to Power Through Cancer.
Awesome. Okay, that's
So
great.
those were kind of the the points that I wanted to get across is that it's about taking control of your own journey. It's really important. It was very important to me to not be a helpless victim in
Right.
the cancer process. And there are so many people who just kind of throw up their hands and say, "Okay, tell me what to do."
Yeah.
And they don't think for themselves. They just give up complete control over their lives, right? And then there's the other people who go into it like it's a huge battle and they have to, gird their loins and become a warrior and all that. And being battle ready is extremely stressful.
Yes.
It's not a place of peace or joy or love or any of those things. And so I wasn't really willing to do that either. So I had to find a new way, and being in control of this made the whole process um, empowering for me instead of disempowering. And that's where the word that I came up with that kind of really encapsulated that was the kick-ass
Yeah.
aspect, right? Taking control and knowing that you're coming from a good place and you're going to get to a good place.
Health issues are probably the worst that you can encounter. I mean, like you, I've been healthy. I come from a healthy family. My grandparents on my mother's side are still alive. They're in their 90s. I mean, they're not living a quality life, but they're still alive. They're still eating, not very mobile. But even on my father's side, my grandmother, she didn't pass away until in her 90s either. So I'm going to live a long time.
Yep.
But my late husband, he had health issues pretty much the entire time we were together. I think a lot of that was due to his steroid use. But, I noticed that when you have health issues, you definitely have to have an advocate for you you, because you're almost like, they almost treat you like you're a test monkey. They're just going to try to throw stuff at you, and if you don't question, if you don't do your research, and not to, like you're saying, going in as a warrior, but just to be knowledgeable and do some research on what you're going through, or else you're at their whim, really. So, I mean, I know
Yeah.
I had to fight for some stuff for him, and they wanted to do some things. I'm like, no, you're not doing that, because that does not work on him. We're doing this. This has been proven.
Yeah.
And, I just know from experience from some, like other people that have gone through health issues and the healthcare system, it's a difficult road. You definitely have to arm yourself with information.
You have to be informed and you have to be an advocate. Yeah, for sure. And if you are caring for someone who can't do that for themselves, and like a child or a spouse or an elderly parent or something, you have to be able to do that for them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, three of my four grandparents lived into their 90s.
Okay.
And my mother died at 55 of premenopausal breast cancer after
Mhm.
10 years with breast cancer. But my mom was an outlier. She'd had polio when she was a child, and who knows, in the 30s, like who knows what happened there.
Right.
But her sisters and brothers are all currently still alive into their 90s. So
So you're
I
gonna
have
live a long
always
time.
yes, my life goal that I've always stated is to live to 95 and die with my boots on.
Nice.
So,
I get.
might be hiking boots, might be motorcycle boots, I don't know, but that's, been my statement that I've said for a long time. I said it before I got cancer and I still say it. I plan to live to 95, like a fabulous, awesome life, and then die fast.
I love it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good plan. Okay, I'm with you on that. So I'll take that oath with you. What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kemple with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Ho, 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 ladies. The holidays came early, not only for you, but for your man here at Manscaped, the leading men's hygiene brand. Manscaped just launched new products that your man will actually use, including their all-new ultra premium body wash and a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Also, this awesome refined cologne. It smells so sexy. My man loves it. I love him wearing it, especially after he's all clean shaven, using the lawnmower 4.0 and trimming those nasty nose hairs and those ear hairs. You know what I'm saying, ladies? It's time to give the man in your life the gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this holiday season. Go to manscaped.com and use the code labelfree20 for 20% off and free shipping. That's right, ladies, 20% off and free shipping with the code labelfree20 at manscaped.com. So do you ride a motorcycle?
My husband rides a motorcycle. I have been on the back of his bike for a number of years. The funny thing is, when I turned 60, I bought myself a scooter, and
Okay.
I went and I wrote the license to get, to get started on learning. But it was the middle of COVID. There was no courses to take.
Aw.
The colleges, like all the courses were shut down. And then I inquired about insurance, and the cost of insurance was going to be so ridiculously high, despite the fact I was a 60-year-old woman with a 40-year clean driving record and a like 250cc scooter.
Wow.
They wanted so much money that I just kind of said, you know what? I have other passions that I want to follow with that much money. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. And I sold the scooter. So it didn't actually happen.
Bummer. Yeah, I had my own motorcycle and it was great. Like it's gonna be hard for me to ride bitch again because I know that my current man, he wants to get a new bike and he's like, yeah, you'll have to ride bitch. And I'm like, oh God, I haven't done that in forever.
No, you should be on your own bike.
Yeah, I loved having my own bike. But anyways, I asked you this question about a cancer doula. And I've never heard that before. That's something that's very new to me. So can you like explain what that means to the audience? And, I know that you said that you're one of two that you know of that actually offer that.
Yeah. So this is a fairly new idea. I want to be able to help people, and I'm trying to find different ways to do that. So the book is one way to do that. I also have a blog, I have a Facebook page. I've done some lecturing with a couple of different organizations, and I have a course online on Udemy that sort of provides the same information that's in the book. And I'm in the process of trying to build my own course as well. But there are people that want more than that, that want someone to actually walk, be with by their side through the process.
Sure.
Because I'm a registered dietitian, I have a professional license that is granted to me by the province that I live in, province of Ontario. And so I can't practice as a registered dietitian outside of where I have jurisdiction. And so I needed to find another way to be able to help people who live outside the province. And of course, in this day and age, everything is virtual, right?
Yeah.
So people reach out to me from all over the United States and, across Canada. And so I needed to kind of pick up more on the health coaching end of my life as opposed to the registered dietitian end. And so as I was trying to get my mind around how this might look and how it would work, the universe gave me the word. And I don't know about you, but the universe brings me things when I need them.
Yeah.
And the universe put the word doula in my mind. And I kind of went, well, yes, that's
Yeah.
it. I went and looked up the kind of the definition and how a doula works. And what a doula is, most people are familiar with a birth doula.
Yeah.
So the
And that,
birth
and that was
doula,
my question to you because
yes,
that's what I like, what comes to my mind when I hear that word.
exactly. So the difference between a doula and a midwife is that the midwife performs the birth.
Right.
She's the one that catches the baby, right? And so she's the medical person. The doula is the woman who supports the mother.
Okay.
So it's a person who supports somebody who's going through a life-changing experience, usually a medical experience. So there are a number of people who function as a death doula. So they are supporting people as they go through the palliative care process. They don't provide the medications or the pain control or any of that sort of stuff, but they are there for the person,
Right.
physically, spiritually, in terms of advocacy, that kind of stuff, knowledge base,
Right.
that sort of stuff. And so I thought, I want to do that for people who are going through cancer treatment. I want to be a cancer doula. And that's where the idea came from. I looked it up online. There's one other person that is identifying as a cancer doula that I can find on the internet at this point. But there are also articles in medical journals about a cancer doula role or there
Sure.
being a role for that. And so I feel like I might be on the cutting edge of something.
I would agree. I think that would be very helpful, for people that obviously can afford that. And that's something that I almost think that insurance should cover for people to help them get better and go through that process, because it is a very, I mean, I'm lucky, personally, very lucky that I've never had to go through that or experience anybody that close to me that has gone through that. But I just, I listen to people's stories and how hard it can be. And it's just,
Mm.
I feel like that would be so beneficial to patients, everywhere that are struggling with cancer.
Well, and I mean, I've been there, right?
Yeah.
I've done the cancer, I didn't have radiation, but I had the surgery, I had chemotherapy. And so I have a sense of what the inside of a cancer center looks like, what a
Okay.
chemo um, infusion looks like, what a port is, what the symptoms are, at what point in the process do the symptoms arise, and are there things that you can do to help them? I had a call last night with a lady who's having a lot of swallowing issues, and yet is very, very anemic. And I said, what about pate, like liver pate,
Yeah.
as a soft source of really high iron food? She's like, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have thought of
And
it.
pate's, I mean, I like it. I don't know.
You love it or hate it, right? But
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there are more people who like pate than there are who like eating liver.
Right.
And if your mouth is sore or your swallowing is impaired, then eat pate with a spoon. Like, you don't even need a cracker,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah.
But it's a way of getting iron in that's easy and smooth and well digested, very high calorie. So I mean, it hits all the right sweet spots for being something that will help in that situation.
That is a really great suggestion. I don't know if I would have ever thought of that, but so now you became this cancer doula and you have this book. And so the book came out last November. So can you tell us like the process of putting that book together and where people can find it and all that good stuff?
Sure. So I started with a blog. I had cleared a lot of space out of my life when I was diagnosed with cancer, because you really have to. It's like this giant elephant that plunks down in the middle of your life, and you have to make room for it. So I gave up a lot of my hats when I started cancer treatment. But I started this blog because I wanted to hear other people's stories
Yeah.
about going through cancer. I spent a lot of time, on YouTube or something, and the people on that put stories online tend to be younger because it's a younger person's universe. And I'm
Well, I
60.
think it's getting more diverse though. I think it's getting
It
more.
is getting more diverse. Yes. Yeah. But even 2 years ago, when I went on looking for, my ovarian cancer story, it was a lot of younger people. So I started a blog, and then people were reading the blog and saying, you write well, you should think about a book. And I thought, then when I discovered this whole new powerful intervention of using a ketogenic diet to starve cancer cells or to stress them, and then using an actual period of fasting right around your chemo that literally downregulates your healthy cells and protects them from the chemo effects while making the cancer cells even more stressed, so the chemo is more effective than normal. It's like, holy crap, how come people don't know this? How come I
Right.
didn't know this? I was a dietitian for 35 years,
Yeah.
right? And so that's when I decided I needed to start writing the book. So I wrote the manuscript, and I intended to self-publish, but boys, the moment you get the manuscript done and you start looking at the next steps, I was whoosh, like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah. I don't think I could do that either.
no. So I ended up hiring a company that provides support services for people who self-publish, and fabulous, fabulous company. Um, they're called book launchers if anyone's looking for them. They're easy to find online. I loved the fact that the owner was a Canadian who also worked in the States, so she had that cross-border thing.
Yeah.
Um, and they, over the course of a year, took me through the whole process of content editing, copy editing, proofreading, design, interior design, exterior design, distribution, promotion, the whole process. They
And
have been
it's
fabulous.
expensive, isn't it?
It was kind of expensive, especially when you do the exchange into Canadian dollars.
Sure.
But it was something that I didn't want to try and take the time to figure out myself.
Yeah.
And I know that because I used professional editing and stuff that I have a much better book than I did myself.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
it. Can we see the
Yeah.
book again?
Yes. The book is Hacking Chemo.
And where can people find that if they wanted to purchase that?
It's on Amazon, on all the country platforms, and it's also in wide distribution, so you can find it online at independent bookstores or Barnes& and Noble or Chapters in Canada. Um, if you go to my website, there's a link that will
And
take
can
you.
you tell us what your website is? Can you plug that
Yes, I sure
quickly?
will. There's a link there that will take you to a book page that has all of the links. Independent bookstores, everything. Ebooks too. It's available as an ebook. At my website is just my name, Martha Tettenborn .com. So all lowercase, marthatettenborn.com. And the blog is there, and the links to the book. There's a whole page of evidence, the research articles that I used, and yeah,
I love
it's.
it.
And I also have a Facebook page where I post quite regularly. It's really the only social media platform that I use.
Great. And I will put all those links in the description of this episode. Martha, this has been such a great conversation. Before we start wrapping things up, is there any last words of wisdom or advice you'd like to leave with the audience?
Yeah. The one thing that I learned in dealing with cancer is that cancer is not a foreign invader. Cancer is not something that has come in from the outside. It is you. It is your own cells. They're misguided. They've lost their way. They're doing things that they shouldn't, but they're still you. And I found the most powerful way to approach a whole cancer journey is from a position of love, of self-love, of loving your body, whether it's doing what you wanted to do at that particular moment or not. But every day, getting up grateful for everything in your life, and full of love, and that opens you to connect to the energy of the universe and positivity. And we tend to be really good at being mad at ourselves and talking
Yeah,
down ourselves and negative self-talk and all that, and you really need to love yourself and love your life and even love your cancer, but let it go. I always quote the Marie Kondo thing, when you look at something in your life, you can ask whether it's still serving you. And if it's
sure.
not, then you thank it for its role in your life and you let it go. And that's kind of how I feel about the cancer.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being a guest and sharing your story. I think you offered a lot of value, and I think the cancer doula thing is, I think you're definitely onto something, and so that's huge. So you guys, if you know anyone that is interested in that, please don't hesitate to reach out to Martha. I'm sure she'd welcome any type of inquiries or questions or anything like that. And we'll definitely, I'll put all her links for the book. The book looks amazing, and so if I know anybody, I'm definitely going to refer them to that, because I think diet and health and wellness is very, 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 very important. We only have one life to live. This is our body, this is our vessel. We have to be in it for a very long time. It's so important to take care of it. So
Yep.
important. Martha, thanks again. You were awesome. I really appreciate you telling your story. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Kemple with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, follow, and I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.